I taught ADPS, which is automatic data processing, computer programming.
Oh, at that time?
At that time,
They had computer in 1960?
Oh, that's another story. they had the first mobile digital computer that
Mobile digital computer?
It was called the Moby Dick.
How big is it? Don't say this like this.
How big is the computer? This was the first mobile computer invented.
Yeah.
And it was invented by Sylvania.
Yeah, I know.
And
I
it was
used to have a
sponsored-
Sylvania TV.
It was sponsored by the United States government, so the United States government got Sylvania into the computer business, and they did it for a few years, just a short years, and then they promptly were out of the computer business because IBM and all these other companies were really much quicker at it. Anyway, the service had them build a mobile computer that could be taken onto the battlefield. And this computer consisted of 3 transfer trailer 18-wheelers, transfer trailers. And in one of them you had the computer. In a second one, second truck, you had the air conditioning to keep it cool. And in the third one you had your input-output devices. I believe that's the way they had it organized.
Yeah, okay.
And power supply and things like that. So it was very interesting. I went down and visited the computer one night. I was able to go. And I got into the truck and was able to see the computer. But that's the only time I actually touched the computer and had worked with it. But it was called the Moby Dick. It was the mobile digital computer, the Moby Dick, in Sylvania. And Fort Monmouth had 2 of them, I think it was. One or two.
Wow.
A couple of them were made anyway. But I was learning a little bit about the internal workings of computers, and I learned, I knew what buses were, I knew what all the things were. And they were all separate, see? You had separate entities, but pretty soon they started combining them. And after this, they took the digital computer and the analog computer, and finally, in about 1980, they put them together.
Wow.
So that you now have both analog and digital working in the same box. But they had the analog separate, and that was for your artillery. That did traces of the artillery.
I see.
So they had the artillery type thing, and then they had this digital, which gave you factual information. So, let's see. Two years at Fort Monmouth, taught for 15 months, and then an interesting story about this, after I taught for, I guess, 15 months, I got this inquiry. I had to go have an interview with one of the guys down in the main office of the building. We had a general that was in charge of the fort. And then we had a business office that was run by a civilian. Well, this civilian wanted to have an interview with me, and I didn't know why. So he called me down to his office. I went down and met him. And as he was interviewing me, he said, "We would like to have you come to our office." I had 6 months left. We'd like to have you come to our office to do auditing.
Auditing?
Auditing.
I thought it was a job offering.
I was a general science major in college. I said, you know, I haven't had a single course in auditing statistics or anything. I didn't take any of that. I took the minimum amount of math that I needed to go through science. And I concentrated all of my work on, biology, chemistry, physics, and things like that. And so I said, I'm a science person. I'm not an auditor. And I said, I'm sure I wouldn't do very well there. He said, "Lieutenant Evans." I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "You are an officer, aren't you?" I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "Officers can do anything." You know, that was one of the best lessons I ever learned.
Okay.
And it's true, you can do just about anything if you have some training. And it
Mhm,
doesn't have
right.
to be exactly the same training that you're dealing with. And I said, I can? I said, he said, yes, we would like to have you. I said, sir, I'd be happy to.
Mm.
So for 6 months, he said, we'll let you can go through the previous audits, you can learn about auditing, and you can take your time and do it.
Oh.
You have 6 months to work on this. So I went into his office and I started in books. I started went to the library and got some books on auditing and got the materials, and it was really an easy job.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't difficult. I had fun. Anyway, for 6 months, I trained myself because I had no teachers. I just I did reading and I did the examples that were previously done. So I audited all of the non-appropriated funds on the fort. So I got trained and I audited those, and he was telling me, he said, slow down, don't go so fast. You know, don't finish. I was going to do 2 or 3 a day, 2 or 3 a week. And he said, no, 1, maybe 2 a week. He wanted me to slow down a bit. So I learned a lot about, you know, the service and civilian employees and things like that. But I was in the office there with everybody else was civilian. I was military, the only military man in the office at the time.